Good evening, everyone. I apologize for the wait. So here I am. I have said that a soul is a real thing, and then I'm going to attempt to present some evidence to back my claims, right? So before I attempt anything, I just want to go ahead and define the soul first, right? A soul is immaterial essence, moral and emotional nature of human beings, according to Merriam-Webster. A soul is the principle of life, thoughts, actions, and human beings regarded as distinct from the body. Dictionary.com. Origin of the word, the Greek word suke, which is sometimes translated as breath, life, soul. And the Latin for it is the anima, which is translated into English as psyche. Hence the words psychiatry or psychology. The psychology is the study of the human mind, consciousness, unconsciousness, emotions, feelings, and behavior. Now, let's define a human being according to a concept called trichotomy, right? Or a three-part being. We have the spirit, which contains faculties such as the conscience, fellowship, and intuition. We're not going to go on that for today. And the second, we have the soul, which is the intellect, the emotions, the willpower, or the decision making mechanism. That's the second faculty of the soul. And we have the body, which is the third part of man, or the senses, right? We have the senses, which is essentially what's connecting us to the soul. According to the Bible, in 1 Thessalonians 5:23, may God Himself, the God of peace, sanctify you through and through. May your whole spirit, soul, and body be kept blameless at the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ. Not that the Bible really means anything to you guys, but that's just a definition that I got in there. So the word soul that they use here, the Greek translation is psyche or the suke, which is what we stand for, the soul, and this is the same thing that they study in psychology, psych, suke, logos, study. So the antonyms for that word are body and physicality, which means the soul is not the body and it has nothing to do with the physicality. Now, there's a science, psychodynamic. It focuses on the roots of emotional pain and suffering, like mental disorders, mental distress. This is a Sigmund Freud originating concept. Now, in psychodynamic, all behavior has an underlying cause. So people, they determine that people don't just wake up and just do things. Most things or majority of things that people do, there's a cause to it. There's a reason people do what they do. And secondly, the cause of behaviors, when people act and do certain things, it emanates from their consciousness. Now, some diseases or some sickness come from the psyche, the mind, yet they affect the material body. So some people in the field of like cardiovascular and neurology, there are some sicknesses. It's like although it's in the mind, but it finds its way to corrupt the body. So there are some sicknesses like psychosomatics. They cannot really explain why it's there. So that's what I've pushed certain scientists to consider an immaterial soul. Now, in the mind, we have this concept, the ID, the superego, and the ego. The ID, it contains all these primitive desires such as sex, the drive, your urges, your impulses. Like this guy here, I want this now, I want to do it, I don't really care. And then we have the superego, which is like, nah, I don't think we should do this. I don't think people like this. So this is like your moral standards, what you have been taught as a kid in school, the principles and values that you have. So the ID is this extreme end, and then the superego is this extreme other end. And in the middle, we have the ego, which is like the balance or the referee that's saying, you know what, I agree that we do need this. However, I don't think we should do it that way. let me take this way. Let's find a balance. Let's find a way to obtain what we want without, being frowned upon. So in Christianity, we consider the ID to be the soul, the superego to be the spirit, and the ego to be the judgment or decision making process or the willpower. Now, let me present an argument from Aristotle. He argues that the soul is distinct from both the sense perception, eyes, nose, whatever, and the imagination. It says senses don't lie. You see what you see and you smell what you smell. Wouldn't you agree with that? And then what about the imagination? So he said the imagination is simply the ability to make the data that you have perceived through your senses reappear. You have the ability to whatever information you receive through your senses to make it reappear again. So this is your imagination. Let me attempt to put it this way. We have two concepts, the possible intellect and the agent intellect. Right here on this side, we have the possible intellect, which is like a storehouse of all the concept, all the data that you know. It's like a data room. So I know this is a pen. I studied the triangle is like this. I studied a square. I know what the phone is. So this is like your data room or the possible intellect. It contains all these information. And now you have the agent intellect. When you want to think about something, it's like it orders this thing, right? It go fetch that data into right here into your storehouse or the mind. It pulls that data and now you think about it. So let me try to iterate that a little bit more. Now we have Thomas Aquina. He put it this way. It says the senses are material because they have corresponding sense organs. And sensing can never be wrong. You see what you see. Thinking, however, does not have a corresponding thinking organ. In essence, you do not use any specific body part to think. Thoughts can be wrong or inaccurate. I thought that was right. Oh, I thought that was the right answer. Therefore, it supports Aristotle's conclusion that the soul is immaterial. So let me give you an example. Let's say we are using this concept here of sense perception and imagination. So let's say you say, I want to organize this wedding. And then in your mind, you start picturing how you want it to look like, the chair, the drapes, the flowers, where the stage is going to be. And then you're pulling all these data from your possible intellect because you already have that data stored in you. And then now the thinking process itself is not, there's no body part that has been used for it. So the conclusion is that because the senses are material or they have corresponding organs that cause them, but the thinking process, however, it doesn't have any of that. So he reached the conclusion. Both Thomas and Sigmund Freud agreed that the thinking process is immaterial. Based on the trichotomy, the mind is a faculty of the soul, right? Therefore, thinking is immaterial. But guess what? Thoughts are real. Psychiatrists are real. Mental disorders are real. So the inability to explain the cause of certain disease and the fields of mainly cardiology and neurology have pushed scientists into seeking to understand and validate the idea that there is indeed an immaterial soul. Like us as Christians, we fully believe that. However, even in the science community, there are some who do agree and there are some who do not. And even some of those who don't agree are pushing towards validating the idea a little bit more through neurology, neuroscience, and other fields that just to help understand why some diseases are caused that way, right? So let's say, for instance, somebody is sick, but the sickness is manifesting in their body, but it originated from the mind. So that's why scientists are like pushing to find out, what is this soul thing? But the issue they have with it is that, they cannot really measure it, they cannot really see it, they cannot really pull data from it because it's immaterial. They cannot really see it under microscope. So that's my presentation on today. And another thing I would like to speak on is the psychosomatic disorders. I unfortunately do not have enough data, or don't have enough knowledge about it. So if anybody has trustworthy articles or books, I am welcoming that. So this was not an attempt to change anybody's mind. It was just to offer my perspective. This is what I believe, and all the links and all the resources that I have used, they are going to be in that link in some kind of Google Drive. Thank you everyone for watching.